Hello, healers and health seekers. It's me, Ichoda, healing with medical medium information for 33 months? 34? I don't know. Okay, let's call it 33 months now. It's time for What's Up Wednesday. And it has been a couple of weeks. Gosh, it feels like a month. It feels like I haven't made a video in so long. It's because I haven't. And that is because we have been traveling. Well, getting out of our apartment, getting into the RV, getting to visit our family, getting their RV fixed. It has been quite the saga. Oh my good gosh. If you want to know the saga of us getting out of our apartment and then getting into the RV, that and starting and just getting on the road. Oh my gosh. I wrote blog posts about it and I'll link it below. It's in 5 parts. I had to write like a 5-part blog post because I didn't want to make it so long that it was just like, I'm not gonna read all this. But it's in 5 parts. It's crazy. So as you can see behind me, we are in the RV. I'm currently sitting at the foot of my bed next to the curtains on the window. Okay, so I don't even know where to begin because it's been so long since I've made a video. I will just say, okay, so I will briefly sum up, if I can, the saga of getting out of our house and into the RV. I made a video giving you all my tips and tricks about moving while healing and taking everything very slow and doing it in stages, because so that if something does come up at the last minute, you are not completely scrambling. Oh, how the universe laughed at me. Because what happened is we were like 2 weeks ahead of schedule. We had everything packed in storage and ready, and we were like, oh my gosh, this is great. And then we're like, okay, we'll bring the RV. We'll have like a week to, we'll have more than a week to pack the RV, which is great because it's a lot of stuff. It's basically like packing everything you own into a studio apartment because we have a big RV. It's a 40-foot RV. So it's basically like packing everything into a studio apartment, and it takes a while, especially because I gotta bring my whole kitchen. The reason I chose the RV I chose, it's old, it's a 2000, but it was in its heyday, it was at the top of the line RV, and it has real wood cabinets. That's real wood. We painted it because we're crazy. That's a whole nother saga. We painted it with eco-friendly paint that didn't make me react, and we could use this paint. I could be around it without reacting. No VOCs. It's got like a beeswax glaze on it. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So it's got real wood, but it has a ton of cabinetry. It has a lot of storage, and for an RV, it has a pretty decent sized kitchen. It's got counter space, which is something RVs never have, unless you get a 5th wheel trailer that actually has a full kitchen. Those ones are really designed for families and for people who are going to cook in their RV. And most motorhomes, which is what we have, not so much. They're like, yeah, you'll probably be grilling outside, and you know, you're not really going to cook in here, so you don't really need much space. Anyway, this one, for an RV, for a motorhome, has a decent amount of counter space, and that's why. One of the other reasons. Storage and counter space are why I chose it. And some other reasons, but those were the 2 most important ones, we'll just say. Anyway, a lot to pack. My whole kitchen, my juicer, and my Vitamix, and my food processor, and all of the kitchen accoutrements that I need. All of everything. My kitchen is so important to me. Takes a while. So a week was going to be good because then we could kind of do it in little batches and do it slow, and we wouldn't have to rush, and it would be great. And 2 things did not cooperate with us. One, the biggest one, the RV had an exhaust leak that was funneling exhaust into the cabin of the RV, which means when you drove it, you were basically creating a suicide death trap. Now, I think this exhaust leak actually has existed for the whole time we've had the RV. However, it wasn't that bad before, and we were still able to ride in the RV we would just have windows open and I'd wear my mask. But I thought honestly that it was more because of my sensitivities, and I don't know, I kind of did suspect something was going on, but we had people look at it, we had mechanics look at it, and they were like, I can't find anything, whatever. But this time there was no doubt, like anybody with any sense of smell could tell, and that is a problem, even if we didn't ride in it and drove behind it and my husband had to drive it. Like, he had to drive with all the windows open, and I don't want my husband losing brain cells because he's being exposed to carbon monoxide and getting poisoned. So disaster. So anyway, we had to take it to a mechanic, which put off when we could start packing. And he said, oh, your exhaust manifold has a big crack in it. And he said he could fix it, but the days he could fix it were like a couple of days after we were supposed to be out of our apartment. We're like, well, maybe we can have it fixed when we go see our family. And in the meanwhile, my husband would drive with all the windows open, and my son and the animals and I would ride behind him in the car, and I would drive, which is a whole set of issues in and of itself. And so, oh my goodness, it's gonna be, I don't know how to shorten this story. I'm trying, but it's not condensed. So there's that. And then the other thing is, we were like, discovered that the campground we had booked at, 2 of the nights were going to be way below freezing, and we knew that we wouldn't be able to be in the RV when it was below freezing. And so we were calling them to see if we could put our days off, and we talked to the apartment manager to see if we could stay longer. And it turned out that the campground had changed hands, and our reservation was an accident, and they didn't even open until the 5th, and we had booked for March 30th, and it was a whole thing. And so, oh my God. So we didn't have a campground to go to. So we asked our apartment manager how long we could stay, and she actually let us stay a few days longer, but we still had to be out on the 3rd. And because of the mechanic thing, and because they had our RV and we didn't get it back, and we only had like, I think we didn't get back till like the 1st, or I don't know. I don't remember. I just remember my husband had 2 days to get everything from our house that was going into the RV. Now, everything had already been in storage that was going in storage for 2 weeks, or so we thought, because I did not go through my kitchen thoroughly enough. I just thought, oh, we'll probably bring most of the stuff. It's not a big deal. So if there's a little bit of extra, we'll go ahead and put it in storage at the end. And I thought, no big deal, right? Wrong. Wrong. So to add to all of this mess, right? To add insult to injury, as we got closer to the day that we needed to be out of the apartment and things got more and more stressful and more escalated, I lost functionality until I really couldn't do anything to help my husband. He was on his own trying to get all of this stuff into the RV. Now, I want to be really clear that when I say I lost functionality, I couldn't do anything to help, that it is still worlds above when I was chronically ill. This is my new normal of losing functionality. Nothing compared to when I was chronically ill and honestly could not do anything. In this normal, where I lost functionality, I could still prepare food throughout the day to feed everyone. And I wasn't just totally out of it. What I could not do was help my husband load the RV, and I tried. I did try. But what happened is, when you store an RV over winter, there is a chemical. They say it's non-toxic. Do we trust that? No. But it's pink and it smells pink. I don't know how to explain that, but it has that overly sweet, gross, icky smell. Anyway, they put that in the drain lines to keep the drains from freezing when you're storing it over winter. And and then when you first get the RV out of storage, you flush out the lines. You like run the water for like a half hour, I don't know. And you flush out all the lines. You run every tap in the RV. Anyway, the chemical was still in the lines because we had just gotten it out of storage. By the way, we had to tow it out of the storage because it was frozen into the ice and it was super muddy. And that was a whole thing. Oh my goodness. Like it never ended. And something went wrong with the car. There was so much stuff that happened in the final 2 weeks that it was mind-blowing. It was such a chill, relaxed process for 2 whole solid months. Nothing eventful, blah, blah, blah. But then all of a sudden we had to register the RV again, like renew the registration. And my husband hadn't mentioned that. And I thought he had done it. And then he's like, oh, I don't know what he was thinking, but his brain was overwhelmed. So he was like, oh, I wasn't going to do it because we're not going to live in Wisconsin anymore. And I said, are the plates going to expire? And he said, yeah. And I'm like, well, then you better renew it. I'm not getting pulled over in an RV and getting ticketed and having to pay some fine because we didn't renew the plates when we could just pay the cost of renewing the friggin' whatever. So anyway, that one just made me laugh, but and then he had to take the car in because it was intermittently not starting and he had to figure out what was going on there, but it just turned out to be a dead battery. So we just replaced battery, not a mechanical failure or something. So back to the RV. So I could still prepare food, I could still do things in the house, but I couldn't be in the RV because of the chemical smell. And it was so cold outside. And when I'd go out there, I'd start shivering and freezing, and it just took me down. It just took me down, and I was like, I can't be out here. I can't do this. If I was a car with a gas tank, it just drained my tank. I did as much as I could and came out here and did as much as I could, but I couldn't help. And the other thing about it, I don't have a lot of endurance right now because it's been winter and we've cooped up inside and I haven't done a lot of walking, and even though I was doing my rebounding, I wasn't doing a lot of walking. So no endurance really. And we lived on the second floor in a second floor apartment. The elevator was at the far end of the hall from us, which is about 150 feet, let's say, 50 yards. And then we had to take the elevator down when we had stuff and then walk like all the way around the outside of the building out to the street where the RV was parked. And that was another, I don't know, 500 feet, 600 feet, something like that. And because I had no endurance and also, you know, just the stress, and so it was extra stress, and I don't know how a person could possibly get enough glucose during that stressful of a situation. I was trying so hard, but it's like, I feel like I'd have to be hooked up to some kind of IV or something. It was not, I just couldn't, and anyway, I didn't have enough, and just the walk out to the RV and back also was just like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do this more than once. And so, again, I was no help at all. My husband had to do everything by himself. Now, my son did help a bit, but my son also has kind of low endurance, and he did help as much as he could. But again, it really, the fullness of everything fell on my husband. Also, my son he doesn't know where to put stuff, and so it's like, yeah, he could sort of carry a little bit and whatever, but so 2 days my husband had to get everything out. Plus, after got everything out of the apartment, we still had to clean it and do the final walkthrough with our apartment manager. Now, my husband was in full-on panic mode. He was in full-on overwhelm and full-on panic, and he worked as hard as he could. But like I said, that walk, okay, so every trip out to the RV, our apartment building had these big awesome carts with 2 levels that you could put he could pile a bunch of stuff, but he pile it on, right? Get the cart, roll it all the way down the hallway to the elevator, go down the elevator, walk around the building and out to the street to get to the RV, and it's so far away, and it was exhausting because he had to do all that. And also the walk back from the street and back to the elevator is slight, there's a slight incline, but that's enough to wear you out when you're going back and forth and you're carrying heavy things. And he was just getting so tired and so exhausted, and then he still had like another day the next day, and The poor man. I just felt so bad for him, and I was trying so hard to like get him to drink smoothies and get food into him as he was in. But he was like, I gotta do this and I gotta go, because he was like, we have to get everything out of here, because they'd rented. Look, we had the greatest apartment manager. She was wonderful and so accommodating and so kind the whole time we were there, and she tried so hard to accommodate us, and if there was any way she could have let us stay a couple extra days, she totally would have. But they already had the apartment rented out, and they had to have it ready, and they had to do a bunch of stuff because they had to fix the bathtub that I let them fix, and they had to fix the stove. There's a couple of maintenance things. They had to paint. They had to get the professional cleaners in and do the carpets and all this stuff. They had carpet cleaners and like house cleaners. So many things they had to do, and they had like 3 days to do it. So I don't know, it was like, whoa, that's a lot. That's a lot in 3 days. So she couldn't let us stay longer just because of that. And I make it sound like we trash the place, but this is kind of standard. This is like what they do when somebody new comes. And because when there was an issue with the bathtub, they would have needed to use a chemical to fix it. And I said, can't just wait till we move out. And they were like, that's fine. We just didn't use the bathtub, so I haven't had a detox bath in so long. That was just us getting into the RV. To her credit, our apartment manager, oh my gosh, she was so nice. She was very, very late the day that we were supposed to do the walkthrough. She was like, oh, I could see you loading up the RV outside the window, so I thought I'd just give you a little more time. And I was like, thank you so much, because we were just frantic. The other thing that she did for us is that obviously we hadn't had time to clean the apartment yet, but it was actually relatively clean because we'd sort of been cleaning as we went a little bit. And she just looked at it and she said, you know what, just if you could just vacuum the floors. She said, we have professional cleaners coming anyway. She's like, you'll still get your deposit back, don't worry about it. And I was like, oh my God, you're amazing. We both were. Thank you so much. She did that for us. That was, oh, bless her, bless her, bless her, bless her. Anyway, got into the RV. Oh, it did not stop there, because in order to just get everything out of the apartment, my husband didn't have time necessarily to just put things away where they needed to be put away. And what you gotta know about an RV is that everything needs to be battened, like that you batten down the hatches before you drive, because everything is a potential projectile. So you just want to make sure that everything is securely put away and safely, so that hopefully if something happened, things don't come flying out at you. So we still had to put everything away and organize, and like I said, it was still really cold and I couldn't help very much. I did try, again, I did as much as I could possibly do, which wasn't real much. And and then it just was getting late in the day. One of my reactions to chemicals involves mood swings, and my husband actually very smartly suggested that we get a hotel for the night, and because we were all just completely exhausted. And I was like, how dare you? I don't know, I just flew off the handle, and because I was like, you know, I can't do hotels because of chemicals and blah blah blah. I was not reasonable, I was not kind, I was not in my right mind, and that was honestly a reaction to the stress and the chemicals, because I was just a freaking crazy mess. So I kind of let him have it, and then a little while later I was breathing, because there's still the voice in me that's like, okay Chota, that was over the top, what just happened? And you know, he just kind of went away from me and just kind of did other things. And I thought about it and I breathed and I was like, yeah, that was disproportionate. And I was like, what just happened? And then I was like, I'm so exhausted. Oh, and the other thing that I did do is I went and I sat in the car, which was a lot warmer, and also doesn't have the chemical smell that the RV still had going on. Also, let me just say about that chemical smell, it's not a smell that other people really could smell. Just me with my bloodhound nose and my ultra sensitivities. So I sat in the car, I breathed, and I thought about it. I think my son was sitting in the car with me, and I just thought, well, what else are we gonna do? I mean, we just need to chill out because this is too much, and we all just need to rest. Like, this is what we need. And so I was like, yeah, we should get a hotel. So I just started looking up hotels in the area, and I was like, okay, there's literally one 5 miles from where we are, like not even far. So we got a hotel, and it was not a good hotel. There was a chemical smell. I thought it wasn't so bad at first. I thought whatever, like the hallways were a little bit narrow and the ceilings were quite low. My son is 5'10" and my husband is 6'3", and like I thought as we were walking down the hallway, I thought they could literally reach up and touch the ceiling. I might have been able to reach up and touch the ceiling. It was low. I was like, how are these ceilings this low? And the room was whatever. It was fine. It had 2 queen beds. And it did have a little fridge, so that was great because, you know, we needed it. And it had a lot of channels on cable TV, and it had wireless, so we were just like, sure, you know, and it had a tub. It had a tub, so I got to take a bath. And I was like, great, it's a tub, I don't care. So I was like, I was focusing on what the positives of this. And the chemical smell was faint at first, but it actually got stronger as we stayed longer, and I was like, oh, this is not good. And as we stayed longer, there were like noises in the hotel, and the doors were like opening and slamming all night. Oh, that's another thing, is our hotel room door you had to push it open because it dragged along the carpet. It was probably one of the worst hotels I've ever stayed in. I've stayed in a few hotels over the years for different reasons, and this was probably not one of the best ones. It was pretty bad, but whatever. We were so tired. We just did not care, you know. We stayed at the hotel. I didn't get much sleep. The cat kept me awake all night. It was kind of a disaster. But we got a couple hours, and it's better than nothing, right? So then the next day, my husband was almost done. Like, he had almost finished organizing an RV, because he did take us to the hotel, get us set up. Oh, and I gotta say something about that. I had the foresight, and I'm very proud of this. Yay me. Yay for Instant Pot. Oh my gosh. I put a curry together in the Instant Pot at the beginning of the day, because I knew that we were going to be exhausted and tired when we rolled into the RV park that night, because we still had like a 6-hour drive ahead of us. This was the plan originally, is to drive. I was like, okay, we're gonna be so tired when we roll into the RV park. I'm gonna have this curry in the Instant Pot, so all we have to do is plug it in, turn it on, dinner, right? Do that. That's the way to do it. Thank God I had done that. Thank God I had done that, because we took the Instant Pot into the hotel, plugged it in, turned it on, dinner in the hotel. So that was good. We had food, and I think we brought the Vitamix. We made smoothies for the next day, whatever. Okay, so the next day we're just finishing up the stuff on the RV, and then we're gonna get in the car, and I am gonna drive behind him, and my husband's gonna drive the RV, and off we go, right? Again, it took longer than he expected. It was kind of late afternoon before we actually left. We finally get on the road, we start driving, and here's the great thing about, if we get to ride in the RV, we have a compost toilet, so I can use the toilet actually while the RV is going. I don't know how it works in regular RVs with regular RV toilets. I'm not sure if you can still do that, but you can in ours. Because I am hydrated, because of my high fruit and vegetable diet, my plant-based diet, I have to pee a lot, like once an hour. And I was driving the car behind my husband, which meant every 45 minutes, I'm calling him on the phone and going, pull over, I need to pee. The drive that we made before the last time we stopped was, according to Google Maps, a 2.5-hour drive. Guess how long it took us? 4 hours. 4 hours it took us. Because when we pull over and stop, it takes us about 20 minutes, because each time we have to pull off the ramp, find a place to park, which is usually like a gas station or whatever, like a big truck gas station. Then I get in the RV, I go pee, maybe somebody else does too. We come back out, maybe we take muffins for a walk. It took 4 hours. Again, by that 4-hour mark, it was too much for me. I was like, I can't drive anymore. And we had stopped again to pee, and I just told my husband, I said, there's a Comfort Inn over there. I want to be in that Comfort Inn. And he was like, okay, let's do it. So we drove across the street. They had a place for him to park the RV. And this time, because the RV was right outside, we had everything we needed from the RV. So we had the juicer and the celery and the smoothies and the Vitamix and the Instant Pot, and I made another curry. I was like, I don't care, I know that we're all sick of curry, but we're gonna have curry because it's quick and it goes in the Instant Pot, and we had the ingredients. This hotel was so much better, and that's why I named it, because it was so much better than the first one. The bathroom and the toilet and bathtub were separate from the sink where you washed your hands, and there was actually counter space next to the sink, so you could prepare food using the counter if you wanted to. And so the sink that you were washing your dishes in wasn't in the toilet area. Nice. There was a fridge, a better fridge. The TV didn't have as many channels, but we did not care. The wireless was good. There was much less of a chemical smell. The ceilings were high, the hallways were wide. It had a better pool than the first hotel. We didn't use the pool, but just we noticed. It was just better in every way. It was so much more comfortable. The hotel was quiet. There were no doors slamming. There was no noise from other rooms. It was just silent at night. And I had my IQ air filter this time, which I did not have the first time. Yes, we brought the IQ air filter into the hotel because that's how we roll. Much better sleep. Still, Pendleton woke me up, but not as much, and there were not other things also waking me up. It was just better. So much better. So, we had a better night's sleep, and we were able to finish our journey and finally get to where we needed to be to visit our family once and for all, and that was glorious. And yes, we rolled in at the end of the day tired, but we did it. And it was because of that Comfort Inn. And now, because of that experience, honestly, if I need a hotel room again, I just know I would go to a Comfort Inn because we had a good experience at that one. So that's how it works. Oh, anyway, this is such a long story. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. This is part 1. And I will wrap this up, and then I will start and make a part 2. But I will say this, I want to again to tie it to my healing, because this is important. Actually, this is a part of my healing journey, and we're trying to move and travel while healing, and it's a lot. Especially the way we exited was crazy, and we were just like so tired. And then of course once we got here, we still had to figure out actually getting the RV exhaust manifold repaired and all that stuff. But I'll talk about that in the next video. But we did it. We did it. We got here. We got here. Oh my gosh, I was so grateful. And I will say this, I really believed, because so much had happened. My adrenals had been running. I did so much that I didn't expect to have to do. Driving is exhausting. And because I need to be really careful, and even though I had like lots of glucose, and I had my jar of honey next to me in the car when I was driving, just to make sure that I had, because I had my lemon water, I had smoothies and juices, I had an extra celery juice. Oh, I need to talk about that, because, okay, I'll talk about this one last thing I have to say. As we pulled into the RV park where we're staying here, I had a migraine starting. I was like, oh no. And it's not that I wasn't hydrated, because I'd been drinking, and you know, it wasn't any of that. It was a long, exhausting day, 2 nights in a row with not enough sleep. That's my trigger. That's my biggest trigger, is not having enough sleep to get a migraine. I don't get them very often anymore, and a lot of the things that used to trigger me don't trigger me anymore, and that's fantastic. Either that or I've eliminated a lot of those things. But what does still occasionally trigger me is not enough sleep. And if it's like a combination of not enough sleep and then something else, and there hadn't been enough food, but I had made an extra celery juice that morning in the room because I just felt like I was gonna need it, and I hadn't drunk it up to the point where we got into the RV park. And I started to feel this migraine, and I thought, I've got that celery juice. Let me drink this real quick. And it's not ideal to drink celery juice late in the day, you know, having made it earlier. It's not ideal. It's not going to have all the nutrients or whatever, but I had put it in a plastic Fiji water bottle. I drank that celery juice, instantly gone. The migraine was instantly gone. There was nothing. It was just like, that's exactly what I needed. I needed mineral salts. Oh, thank you, celery. Thank you, celery juice. See, it's amazing. It's amazing. That was just so good. It just took care of that migraine. Oh my gosh, it was so good. And the other thing about that is because of all the stress and because of all the, this is what I was saying before, because of all the stuff that had been going on and how much stress I'd had and all the lack of sleep. And I thought, oh my God, this is actually going to set my healing back. Like, you know, sometimes Anthony Williams says 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And I thought, oh, this is going to be more than 2 steps back. This is going to be so many steps back. And it's going to take me months to recover. And I'm going to have to, oh my gosh, and it's going to really, not that I didn't, like, I know that I can. I just thought, oh, I've got a journey ahead of me. My recovery time has been so much better. It's like, I still can get wiped out and it still, you know, can take a lot out of me and I might not have the stamina or whatever. But then I go to bed and oh my gosh, that night when we pulled into the RV park, that night I slept like an angel. I slept so hard and so soundly. And so I was just like, oh, I'm in my bed. I'm in my comfy space. I felt so good. I slept so hard. I slept through the whole night. I always get up to pee at least one time. I did not. I slept the whole night and did not get up to pee until the morning. And then I really had to go. But oh my gosh, it was great. And then I was okay the next day. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in this bed for a few days. It's going to be hard. It's going to be bad. None of that. I have been okay. And yeah, I've needed a couple of days rest here and there. But my recovery time, thank you, Anthony William Medical Medium, for all of your information, because my recovery time has just been so much shorter. And I am so grateful. I am going to end this video now, and I'm going to start rambling into part 2, but I'll post it on a separate day because this is a lot. It's gotten long, much longer than I thought. There's so much more to tell you, and I don't want this to be a 3-hour video, so I'm going to cut it up into parts, just like I did with the blog posts. Thank you so much for watching. Oh my gosh, I have missed you so much, my healers and health seekers. Give this video a thumbs up below if you like it. You can subscribe to my channel by hitting that subscribe button over there. You can ding the bell next to it if you want to be notified when I post a new video. Oh, I've missed you. I'm so glad to be back. I don't know how consistently I will post because we are still visiting family, but I will do my best. And because now we have a moment, I can take a moment and make these videos. I love you. Blessings on your continued healing journey. Remember to stay curious and remember that you can heal. And I will see you next time. Goodbye. I love you. Goodbye.